So you have come all the way from Patna or you are based in Delhi?
So currently I'm posted in West Champaran as program officer
Okay.
in education department.
Education. So you have come from Champaran,
Yes.
not from Nalanda, your hometown. So Rasgiri is in district Nalanda.
Yes, sir.
So why is Rasgiri so famous?
So it is famous for multiple reasons, for tourism purpose as well as for Buddhism and Jainism. So it's a great place for tourism purpose also.
More of Jainism.
So
Why?
Buddhism also.
Why more of Jainism?
So nearby there is a place named Pavapuri. This was the place where the 24th Tirthankar of Jainism, Mahavira, took the Nirvana. So it is known for that. Thank you, sir.
Why this Champaran is so famous?
So Champaran, first of all, is famous for the Champaran Satyagraha started by Mahatma Gandhi over there. There is Bitaharwa Ashram where he spent considerable amount of his time.
Where
Then there
he
is
was
Laureate.
tried for that movement?
1917.
Where was it tried? In Betia or Motihari?
Sir, he went to Betia, Motihari both. Initially, it was
Where
Champaran.
was it tried? This trial by district magistrate, where it took place? Was it Betia or is what?
Betia, sir, Betia.
Was it Betia or Motihari?
Betia.
Betia Motihari, that was bifurcated later on. It was
Yes.
tried in Motihari. Motihari was the headquarter of Champaran district. Combined together, it was called Champaran.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Why this Champaran name comes from?
So Champaran names comes from two words Champa and Aran. Champa flower and Aran is the forest of those flowers.
Other two places in Bihar which are also named like that?
Champaran like that. East Champaran, West Champaran.
No, Champaran you have already told. Champaran.
So Nalanda also has a name like
Similar. You know the name Ara?
Yes, sir.
Where it derives from?
Sorry, sir.
Arani.
Aran. Thank
And
you.
what is this Saran?
Saran Chhapra. Yes, sir.
What was this original name?
Saran Chhapra.
Sarani.
Saran, yeah.
It was a forest of Sarkanda. Arani, Sarani, Champaran. These were three districts which are named after they derive their name from the forest. Arani.
Thank you.
What is the famous, this Chanpatia you told? What is the Chanpatia famous for?
So recently it has came up in the limelight for the Chanpatia startup zone, which has been established over there.
Not because of the startup. Traditionally, what it is famous for?
So I'm not aware of that. Sorry, sir.
The entire Champaran district, what it is famous for?
Sugar cane.
Other than what is Satyagraha and other things, yes.
So sugarcane cultivation is also one of the
What
highest.
other things are produced there?
Gandak river or comes.
Rice
and
are very famous.
rice.
It produces a lot
Yes.
of mangoes. Highest producing district,
Yes, sir.
Champaran. Champatia is famous for chuda,
Okay.
basmati rice.
Thank you, sir.
You come from, you have studied in electronics,
Yes, sir.
computer engineering,
No, sir. Electronics and communication.
electronics and computers. You must have heard about the semiconductor also.
Yes, sir.
India is also trying to produce it. You know what India is doing in this regard? What steps it has taken?
Yes, different multiple programs have been started. For example, National Semiconductor Mission, then Semicon India program recently, then C2S chip to startup program has also been started. Then production linked incentive scheme in order to give boost to the electronics manufacturing and to make India electronic manufacturing hub and add up in the global supply chain.
Which is the global leader in this semiconductor?
So currently South Korea and Japan are the leading ones.
Any other country?
Vietnam is also.
Taiwan.
Taiwan, yes, sir. Taiwan is also. Thank you.
About the psychology, he asks, who propounded this basic concepts of the psychology?
Sir, William Wundt is considered to be the father of psychology. And psychology is the scientific study of behavior and mental process.
What are these three sets of the
3 sets of, sorry sir?
psychological, three concepts which was propounded by Freud?
For psychoanalysis,
Yes.
he talked about
Yes,
psychoanalysis.
right.
And sir, he talked about the therapeutic processes using the psychoanalysis method, the different development stages of a human being on the basis of id, ego, superego. He talked about that.
What is this id?
It is the unconscious level of psyche of any human
And
being.
what is the superego?
Superego is more about the ethical part, which talks about which makes one person to go into the correct direction, which is ethically correct.
Where the ego stands for?
Ego is what we are. That comes in the middle of the id, and superego is what actions we do is based on the ego what we have. And id
what
is
is the Maslow hierarchy?
Maslow's need hierarchy is for motivation, and there are different stages of motivation. For instance, first comes physiological needs, then there is safety needs, then social needs.
So what drives you to come appear for the IAS examination?
So there are multiple factors for this. First of all, it has been
In this high order of the Maslow hierarchy, what it drives you to take up this examination?
So first of all, it was to become financially independent, but I have
I'm talking about
these needs. So
Maslow hierarchy. Which stage, which component drives you to take up this? You should have gone for the clerk examination. You could have gone for the BDO examination. There are so many things.
Yes,
What it drives you to come for the IAS?
So it has been my esteem needs.
It's not that self-actualize. You want to realize your full potential. You think that you have a potential to qualify, and then you try to actualize that. So that is the last stage of that hierarchy, which drives you to come for this exam. Because you think that this is the best examination. Here you can maximize your potential. Is it not?
Yes, sir, it is there, but currently it is my esteem needs, because self-actualization is even above than that. So that will come if I'll do something really great for the people. If I get the opportunity, then maybe.
So where is that platform? What that, either you go to the politics or you go to the civil service?
No, even working the civil services, there will be a lot of opportunities to work.
That's why that drives you.
Yes, sir.
To come. Can you recollect few current news?
So right now,
today's 3-4 news. Can
yes,
you recollect?
So there is a row to remove AFSPA, Armed Forces Special Powers Act, from
current news. Today you must have gone through the newspaper.
Yes, sir.
Can you recollect 3-4 news?
Yes, sir.
Which are the headlines?
Yes, sir. The China is now allowing the students to join the universities and do education in their own countries. Indian students. Apart from that, Jignesh Mevani has been given bail. Apart from that,
which area you are living in?
So Bihar.
No, not Bihar. Delhi. You are in South Delhi, East Delhi, North Delhi, West Delhi.
Sir, I came yesterday only. I'm not staying here.
Yeah. What is the power situation in Bihar?
Power situation, sir, government has started program.
Are you facing any power crisis there?
Sir, not much right now, because 24/7
How
power.
many hours you get the power?
So exactly, I'm not, because I have the inverters. I'm not exactly aware of when the power cut happens, but it is. I think in 24 hours. I think it is for around 20 hours. It is present.
You are getting power.
Yes.
In Bihar. This is the one very major crisis we are going to face.
Yes.
If we don't produce the coal or we don't make the supply, there are many others.
Thank you, sir.
Shweta, you read about Jignesh Mevani's arrest and bail yesterday.
Yes, sir.
You know the story?
So I've heard a little that he had done two one was Twitter. He made controversial statement on Twitter regarding Mr. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of our country, and
yes.
Secondly, he did something. He assaulted a women police officer.
So those are the allegations. I hope you understand. Those are the allegations.
Yes, allegations.
And they've been done away with by the court yesterday. He was given bail. Where was he arrested?
He was arrested in Assam.
In Assam. And who is he?
He is MLA of Gujarat.
An MLA of Gujarat. What was he doing in Assam?
Sir, the case was related to that place only, I think.
No, आपको ये थोड़ा सा पढ़ना पड़ेगा ना. He was arrested in Gujarat. The Assam police flew to Gujarat. He had tweeted something against the Prime Minister, which was construed by the Assam police as sedition.
Okay.
By a court. हाँ, ठीक है. So now, what I want you is to comment on its legality and propriety. Was it legal and was it proper? The action of the Assam police in arresting a public representative of Gujarat, of a different state. Was
So
it legal?
investigations are going on.
नहीं, आपकी views बताइए. Was it legal?
Sir, the allegations has to be proved for that, whether it was right or not. Because currently it was said that it was just a mere allegation, it has not yet been proved. So he was granted bail.
नहीं, tweet तो उन्होंने की है ना. That is a matter of fact. It is not a matter of opinion. Tweet तो he tweeted whatever has been alleged. He tweeted. That is not under doubt. But somebody tweeting in the social media sphere from anywhere in the country or in the world, can a enforcement agency which is bound by its jurisdiction, can they go and arrest in some other place?
If the issue is related to that very state, then they might be taken to.
So was it related?
Sir, somewhere it was related.
Okay. What are your opinions about the sedition law? Which section? IPC?
Section 124A.
A. What does it state?
If any actions or any message, voice message, written message, or any action which is done which can hamper the harmony of the country, then that is called as.
What are your opinions about this section? Is it not an anachronism in this modern welfare state, 21st century?
It has both the perspectives. For instance, maintaining public order is also very important. National interests are also very important, but it should not be misused. So that is, there is a lot of subjectivity in the statement, that what exactly is.
That is why.
Yes.
Okay. Shweta, what is intelligence? Define intelligence.
Intelligence is the ability of the individual to perform any task in a very effective manner.
Okay. That is intelligence. That's all.
Intelligence is the ability to think rationally, act purposefully, and deal effectively.
Yes. What are the different theories of intelligence? Most accepted theory of intelligence?
There are so many theories. Sternberg's theory, then Catel's theory, then there is Spearman's theory, Gardner's theory.
Which is the most accepted?
Sir, most accepted. I think Spearman's theory, in my view, all are somewhere acceptable, because there are multiple personalities of human beings. So, for instance, there is Spearman's theory which talks about two factors, general factors, and there is special factors which is there in the human beings. General ability is something which is general to everyone. If somebody is able to do good in that very factor, general abilities, then and there's specific. For instance, somebody is good in music or maybe in studies, academics. So that is also there.
Right. Which is more important in a public life, EQ, IQ, or social quotient?
Say everything is important, but of course emotional intelligence is very important. And along with IQ, it helps in gaining achievement in various academics. IQ is important, getting good in academics.
I said in public life.
Public life emotional quotient, I think, in my view, is most important.
You've heard of Rorschach's test?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
It's a personality test.
Personality test.
Not test.
What are its drawbacks?
There's a lot of subjectivity. It is said that it is not that scientific in nature. So there is a lot of subjectivity, interpretation also, how we interpret the meaning of the test. So subjective.
Correct. And what is the sensitivity and specificity of a test?
Sensitivity. So it is subjective to say.
There is a definition.
Okay, sorry.
You must read about it. Rorschach's test, sensitive ज़्यादा है, specific कम है, or the other way around. You must find out. Okay.
Okay.
How will you justify your hobby, walking?
So walking is a physical activity which I think is very important nowadays, since we are very much living in the stagnant. We are working in the places, and then we give very less amount of time to physical activity. So walking is something which is very easy to do, and at any time a person can do it. So
Have you ever been in any walkathons? Walkathon?
no, sir, I have not been.
Okay. How long have you walked at a stretch?
Sir, generally I walk for 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes in the morning.
Every day?
So most of the days, like in week for around 6 days, so definitely.
Right. You've heard of Peter Drucker?
Sorry, sir.
मैनेजमेंट थ्योरी है, साइकोलॉजी में भी आती है, तो आप देख लीजिएगा, ऑपरेशनल बिहेवियर में वो भी.
I'll
Anyways,
remember.
who is India's chief of defense staff now?
Recent chief of defense staff,
Now, today, as we speak.
M. Nirwane, I think. He's the chief of army, I think.
You heard of theater command?
Theater command. So all the three forces will work together, army, navy and air force.
The theater of war में मतलब they will be under one supreme commander in
Yes,
the.
the chief of defense staff will regulate all the three.
नहीं, वहाँ पे कमांडर कोई, ऑपरेशन कमांडर कोई और होगा. चीफ ऑफ डिफेंस स्टाफ की क्या इंपॉर्टेंस है?
He is more working towards the development in scientific advancement of the defense sector. At the same time, he will regulate all the three. He will be an integrate. He will take an integrating approach to unite all the three sectors. For instance, army, navy, and air force, all the three.
Who
So
was
he
the
will
first?
be
Okay, who was the first CDS?
chief. So first CDS was Bipin Rawat, Mr. Bipin Rawat.
And why was he not? Why was the CDS not appointed before him?
So
20-30 साल से बात चली आ रही है CDS की.
So before that, it was not implemented.
Why?
So there was a lot of issues that was whether it will be successful model or not. There were a lot of controversies and lot of subjectivity. There were so many debates going on this issue.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Shweta, you said you're a program officer for which sector? Education.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
and your
ma'am.
father also as a deputy director education sector.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
both of you from Bihar state.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is the situation of education sector in Bihar?
As per 2011 census, the literacy rate is 61%, and for female literacy is around 51%. Male literacy is 71%, and gross enrollment ratio at the primary level is around 90%. But
Okay.
it has
So it's from the 2011 census you're talking about. So the next census is not out, but what is the scenario? Is there has been a change in
Yes,
the
ma'am.
state?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there an improvement in the state?
Yes, ma'am. Lot many improvements have been done in the recent decade.
Okay, so if I compare from 2011 to 2021 now, so what are the state packs which the state has done to improve the situation? Anything they must have come up with?
So there is lot many schemes that have been started by the government in order to promote. For instance, we have PM. Right now, I was also working on post-matric scholarship scheme.
Can you tell me 5 schemes which in the education sector are there?
In Bihar specific, e-Sambandhan portal, then student credit card, post-matric scholarship scheme, then there is an incentive scheme given after passing 10th standard, then 12th standard, then in graduation. Then there is lot many schemes for instance, Poshak Yojana, then Cycle Yojana, that is also there.
Okay, so the starting 4 schemes which you talked about, they are the state schemes or the central scheme?
Ma'am, post-matric scholarship scheme is centrally sponsored scheme, rest are the state schemes.
Okay, now can you tell me a difference between centrally sponsored scheme and the state sponsored scheme?
State sponsored scheme is started as well as regulated and managed by the state government, while centrally sponsored scheme is started by the central government, but there is a 60:40 ratio of funding. At the same time, it is managed by the state government, centrally sponsored.
Okay, so is it always the 60 and the 40 ratio?
No, ma'am.
Or is always a differentiation in the centrally sponsored schemes?
For northeastern states, it is 90:10 ratio.
And for rest of India, it is 60:40. This is it.
Yes, ma'am.
All other states come in the same scenario of 60:40, apart from the northeastern I'm talking about.
I'm not really sure, but I think union territories are also in the 90:10.
90:10. Rest Indian states come in the same scenario.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. you have studied psychology, so there are kinds of different research methods which you have come across. What are different research methods?
Research methods, ANOVA test, t-test, then ANOVA double blind theory, there single blind test, double blind test.
Okay. Now, if I have to see my development as a human being, does genes somewhere affect development?
Yes, ma'am. Both the factors, behavior, for instance, is influenced by both hereditary as well as the environment in which one is living. So both the factors are equally important in the development of the human being. Both play an important role in the development and of the any being. Both.
Okay. Okay, my last question. Suppose you are tomorrow, you are heading some district as a district magistrate, and you have to, there's some interview of some government jobs going on there. So you have to approach, some people approach to you. Basically, I'll say a women section approach to you that if this can be given to us, this job, or maybe it can be teacher job or any regard job. So they're asking that, they come to you that being a woman in a Bihar now, because there's a requirement of this, we do require this to come up with this. So they have approached you over this. Now you have to select, apart from 10, you have to select 10 people there. What would be your scenario in that situation?
Based on their capabilities, that there should be a selection process for that.
So there is also a situation that women are never in that race till now.
That depends also on the situation, what exactly has happened. And if there can be a selection process based on merit, then that would be much more better and would be fair in nature.
Okay, so what would you do to empower women in that situation?
For empowerment of women in general, I think first is the education. The women need to be educated. Then skill development is also very important. There is need to be given financial literacy as well as employment opportunities to the women so that they can become financially independent and participate in the labor force for the development of not themselves but the entire country overall. So that way women can be empowered.
But these things will take time for women to come up to that stage. Education will take 10-12 years for a woman to come up with. You said skill will take 2-3 years. So what is the instance at present?
At present, I think all the women have some potential in some field or the other. Maybe they are not participating in the labor force, but we can harness those potential through the skill mapping, which was initially done by the district magistrate also. That was in a different sector for migrant laborers. That we can also do for the women in the society, that we can check what all capabilities they have. For instance, we have self-help groups through which they can also do the startups. They can initiate and participate in the startups. So that is also one approach.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Shweta.
Good morning, sir.
You mentioned in one of your answers that everyone wants to work. And in this particular answer, when you were discussing with ma'am, you mentioned that we need to increase women participation in labor force for their empowerment. But recent report of CMIE says that there is a reducing labor force participation in India. Then how do you justify this answer, what you just said?
So first of all, I think everyone wants to be financially independent, financially strengthened. For instance, most of the women are not working nowadays despite being educationally in a much better position than previous time. But this thing is that they are dependent financially on maybe their male counterparts because they don't want to do something which is below their position, their educational capabilities, and that kind of capabilities we are not able to harness right now. For instance, there is a lower employment opportunities. For instance, a person who has qualified in PhD, has done masters, is doing group D work. So that we need to harness the potential as per their capabilities. For that,
so this reduction in labor force is only because of the women are not participating, or there are any other reasons?
There can be multiple reasons for this. There are also cultural factors also.
Cultural factors.
For instance, patriarchal mindset is also there, which does not allow women to go work in many of the societies.
Can you relate it with psychology?
Psychology, sir, we should do conditioning. We should motivate them to work.
No, reasons for reducing labor force. What psychological impact is the reason behind it? Is there any?
So there is a patriarchal mindset which is also prohibiting the women from coming into the,
In general.
and they also get self-satisfied that they have the money.
No, Manrega and free ration.
There's also dependence.
That is the reason.
And COVID is also not the reason that people have realized work from home culture is so good. Let's start our work. Let's have our own entrepreneurship, business, informal sector. Don't you
Everyone
think?
wants to become entrepreneur nowadays. The
Everyone
trend
wants
is
to become
changing.
entrepreneur?
No, most of now the trend is changing. Now
Okay,
the
no
people want to
problem.
become.
In one of the questions you mentioned AFSPA Act. What is the full form?
Armed Forces Special Powers Act.
Good. So my question here is, do you think that this partial withdrawal of this act, is it a right step? Because somewhere this particular act has contributed as well in eliminating insurgency, militancy, Naxalism, all those issues. So don't you think it will have negative impact?
So there is both positives and negatives associated with this, because it has definitely helped a lot in controlling the insurgency issues which was there especially in the northeastern states. But at the same time, there is also the allegations which are being imposed on the AFSPA armed forces that they are doing the fake encounters. There is an allegation like that, and that it is also against the federalism. For instance, the state the center gets overruled over the states, and there is after that there are many.
So why we took so long in taking this action of withdrawing this act?
Recently, many things have happened. For instance, in Nagaland, there was a lot innocents were killed by misinterpretation by the armed forces. So there are many things which are happening, and because of the
Any
current
particular reason? Administrative reason?
administrative reason, is political will is definitely there.
Political will is there? Okay. Sir was asking about CDS. So, don't you think that just like other countries, particularly the neighboring country, in future, CDS can also somewhere can do the military coup on India? Or is there any provision to prevent such coup in our system?
So present constitution does not allow that. We are a democratic country, so definitely there cannot be a military coup in our country. We have freedom, so many rights which have been given as per the constitutional laws. So that won't be happening in our country.
But do you think during a military coup, such constitution will be taken into consideration? Or the rights will prevail?
Fundamental rights have been given.
I hope you are aware that in many of the countries, such things happen. Recently,
Yes, sir.
one of the country, can you name it, the country?
Yes, sir. Myanmar also there
Yes.
was happening.
So, don't you think CDS in future can be a problem?
No, sir, I don't think so. Because the kind of constitution and the laws that we have.
So, any provision to prevent this? Any protocol?
Any fixed protocol, I'm not aware, but I think the constitution entirety and the democratic structure where we live in, the elected head is there. So I don't think it is going to happen.
Okay, my last question to you. In one of the answers, you said you want to do great things for the people. Mention any 2 or 3 great things you want to do.
Sir, my focus would be to do holistic development. First of all, to provide them better education, then health facilities, and in order to harness the potential of the human resource, providing them with skill development and job opportunities.
Skill development is already happening. We are already focusing on the health infrastructure, and with respect to education, we have new education policy. So what great thing you want to do? You mentioned in one of the answers.
I would try to implement them in a much more effective manner.
Implementation. Okay,
Yes.
good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Last answer was the best. In fact, I would suggest you focus as a student and don't say, EFSA is center-state relation and political due to politics. It is simply, there is a law and order problem and they have been empowered. Otherwise, you cannot handle that? Simple answer.
Shweta, you are very articulate, your voice is very clear, and you are able to express yourself most of the things. Most of the questions you've answered very well, except for very small things like जो जिग्नेश मेवानी वाली ना, it was factually incorrect, है ना? तो थोड़ा सा आप
I was not aware of the news. I read it just now only.
हाँ,
So
आप
I
अच्छे से
will
देख
read
लीजिए.
more
हाँ.
about
It
it.
is important because public representative MLA है भाई वो, है ना? ऐसे नहीं है. मतलब you cannot just pick
justify
up.
everything of government.
Yes. वो अच्छी चीज़ आपको देखना पड़ेगा.
Shweta, when is your interview?
2nd May, day after
2nd
tomorrow.
May. Okay. So is this the same dress which you're going to wear?
No, I'm going to wear sari.
You're going to wear a sari. Only suggestions, I was coming to that only. So if you're wearing a sari, so I'll just stop it there.
अब थोड़ा सा slouch कर रहे हो, थोड़ा सा
हाँ.
straight है ना? हाँ बस. बढ़िया.
Shweta, you are a very good candidate. There are few things I want to mention. Please try to avoid such vague statements. Everyone wants to earn. Everyone wants to be entrepreneur. It's not
Instead,
appropriate.
I should say most of the people nowadays.
Next, when you said words like agronomics, Twitter, AFSPA, your interview can go in next direction. Please take care. If it is deliberate, it's all right. If it's not, then please take care. Listen to the question well. When sir was asking you the question, I think the question was the legality. That one state police is going to another state and arresting a person. So legality पूछी थी sir ने. You answered something else. Okay, please take care of this. In one of the answers with respect to Naxalism, you mentioned कि Naxalites पर cultural impact ना पड़े इसलिए वो लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं. मुझे लगा कि वो primary answer नहीं. There can be other reasons as well, जो more important है rather than this. So just try to articulate yourself. Think once before answering. You can take a pause of 1 or 2 seconds. You can also request the panel that if I can take 30 seconds or 10 seconds to think. Okay? Rest everything is good.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
All the best.
All the best.